Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? Just for once come to me. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? Just for once come to me. Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, oh, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. sing-along one. So this is a Native American proverb. The words are, I believe it's Cherokee. You may have heard it. It's, when you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. Isn't that beautiful? So we're going to sing it a couple times just where we are, and then I know some of you like doing this sort of thing and some of you don't, but we're going to try it. Once we learn it, we're going to go around and remind each other of this, right? Because we need reminders. So once we do it a couple times, you'll go to somebody, one other person or two other people, maybe take their hand, whatever feels comfortable, whatever contact, connection feels right to you, and sing it to each other as a reminder. Why don't we stand right where we are and just sing it in place for now. You'll get it. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. So take the hands of someone near you or walk to someone. And each round of this, we'll do it a few times. We'll sing it to another you, another beautiful being. Here we go. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. And go off and find another.
Thank you. That is beautiful. What a wonderful way to live our lives, right? It is my pleasure to be able to introduce our speaker today, Michael Mastro. Michael is going to be speaking today about Vastu. Now, Vastu, the secrets for a successful life. Michael is a Vastu architect and consultant. He's the leading expert in the West of Vastu. He's an astrologer. He's also the author of a book, which you'll find on the table back there, called The Way of Vastu, Creating Prosperity Through the Power of the Vedas. He has corporate clients including Boeing, NASA, Oracle, Microsoft, Intel, as well as individuals all over the world. And he uses these Vastu principles to design buildings for Microsoft and Boeing and the art of living. So we're all wondering, what is Vastu? We're going to find out. Let's give a warm welcome to Michael Mastro.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. And I first became acquainted with Vastu in the late 60s, early 70s. I was a young architect, and I met Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who was the Beatles guru. And he asked me to design some buildings in Rishikesh, and it was a really great, blessed opportunity for me. And up until that time, I knew about a certain kind of architecture, that you make beautiful buildings that fit the function that the people wanted. But when I learned about Vastu, Vastu means building, and Shastra means science. It's the science of building. it was a different perception of architecture. How many of you here have walked into a building, a house, an office, and felt a little uncomfortable, like you didn't want to stay? You can raise your hands if you had that experience. Most of you had that experience. Well, Vastu is the science that explains why we feel uncomfortable in certain buildings and why we feel uplifted in certain buildings. This is a wonderful building, lots of light and good energy flow, and I think most of us feel pretty good in this room. But it has to do with one or more of the 5 elements being out of balance. Everything in this universe is made of energy, and that energy is vibrating. And the floor seems very solid. You put your foot on the floor, but you know that if you put it under a very powerful microscope, you can see it's made of atoms, protons, and neutrons, and at a cellular level, quarks, and at the most subtle level that they've discovered yet is called the God particle. And even the God particle is made of earth, water, fire, air, and space. So in nature, these 5 elements are in perfect harmony, perfect balance. But when a building gets built, sometimes it's not built in accordance with the laws of nature, and one or more of those 5 elements is out of balance. And that's what you feel when you walk in a building that you don't feel uncomfortable. And our physical body is also made of the 5 elements. And we're going to do a very, very short meditation just to get acquainted with those 5 elements in the body. So just sit comfortably and close your eyes. Shoulders relaxed, spine is erect. Take a deep breath in and let all the cares of the morning go. And one more time, take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, become aware of your flesh and bones. These are part of the earth element in your physical body. And just by bringing your awareness to your flesh and bones, you can bring the earth element into balance. Feel the stability that comes when that earth element is in balance. You feel rooted like a tree, very grounded, very stable, able to withstand all the challenges that life brings. Once again, take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, become aware of the blood rushing through your veins. Our body is 80% fluids, with a similar chemical composition of that of the water found in the ocean. And just by bringing your awareness to the fluids in the body, you can bring the water element into balance. Feel the flexibility, the fluidity that comes when that water element is in balance in the body. You're much more able to meet the challenges of life, flow with the river of life, if that water element is in balance and you're feeling flexible and not rigid. Once again, take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, become aware of the warmth in your body. Without the warmth and the light of the sun, there would be no life on this planet. Just by bringing your awareness to the warmth in the body, you can bring the fire element into balance. Feel the powerful energy that comes when that fire element is in balance. You feel very vital, very alive, very creative. Once again, take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, become aware of the air moving out of your lungs. The surface of the earth is covered by about a mile radius of air, the same air that we breathe in and out. And we're seldom aware of our breath unless we have to climb a flight of stairs or run to catch a plane. But breath is, your breath is very much key to life. You can live for days without food and water, but only moments without your breath. And your breath is very much connected to your mind and emotions, the quality of your thoughts and emotions. If you're feeling fearful or anxious, your breath is very shallow and chaotic. But by bringing your awareness to the breath, you can bring that air element into balance. And the breath becomes very smooth. You become very peaceful and harmonious. Feel that peace. Once again, take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, become aware of the space in your mind. All the planets and stars are embedded in space, the same space that's in your mind. Just by bringing your awareness to that space element, you can bring it into balance. And when it comes into balance, you feel very much anchored in the present moment. We spend most of our time thinking about things that happened in the past, regretting things in the past, or planning things for the future, feeling anxious about the future. But right now, right here, in this moment, is where true joy abides. Feel that joy and peace. Bring a big smile to your face. And now become aware of who is actually perceiving in this moment and all moments into eternity. It's not your body's not eternal. It's not your mind. Thoughts come and go, they are not eternal. It is the eternal light of consciousness within you that is perceiving in this moment and all moments into eternity. Become aware of that light of consciousness as a point in the center of your chest, brighter than 1,000 suns, radiating and expanding, filling this entire space, this entire room, connecting with all the other lights of the other beings in this room. Allow your light to continue to expand and radiate, filling the entire city of Ashland. Allow your light to spill over and continue to expand and radiate more and more, filling the entire state of Oregon. Expanding more and more and more and more, filling the entire country. Allow your light of consciousness as a point in the center of your chest to continue to radiating and expand more and more, more and more, and more and more, until it covers the entire surface of this earth, connecting with all the other lights of the other beings on this planet. In truth, we are all one light, one energy, made of the same 5 elements. We all walk on the same planet Earth, breathe the same air, drink the same water, feel the same warmth and the same light of the same sun, and exist in the same space. And because we are all one energy, one light, whenever anything on this planet is harmed, we all feel it in some way. So I'd like you to all donate a portion of the peace that you gained from this meditation to help heal the planet. And I'm going to do a very short chant for peace on the planet. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavivishabhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You can bring a big smile to your face and bring the palms of your hands together and rub them back and forth. Create some warmth, some friction, and bring the palms of your hands to your eyes. Feel that warmth. You can relax the hands in prayer position. Again, bring a smile to your face and gradually, slowly open your eyes. Did everybody feel some connection to the 5 elements? Excellent, excellent. So Vastu is about balancing the 5 elements in your environment and designing environments that are in balance. Now, I always encourage people to try to build a building from scratch in harmony with nature and in balance. But most of us, live in apartments or dorm rooms or houses or townhouses, and we work in buildings that aren't aligned with the cardinal directions built in accordance with the laws of nature. So we'll talk a little bit about how to align our physical body and our home or our office, which is the body of our body, to these forces of nature, to be in harmony with nature. There's 2 forces of nature. One is this positive magnetic energy that comes from the north, and the positive solar energy that comes from the east. And these 2 forces of nature set up an electromagnetic grid system that covers the surface of the earth. You can think of it as longitudinal and latitudinal lines. And just by aligning your physical body and your building to this earthly grid system, you gain the support of nature, like swimming with the current of the stream instead of against it. So there's a couple things, very simple things, that you can really take home with you today and in alignment with these 2 forces of nature. So one thing we spend many hours a day is working, and not all of us think of what we do as work. It may be our passion or our joy. Maybe we're playing music or doing art or writing or sitting at a computer or cooking. The direction that you face when you do all of these things has a huge effect on your ability to be productive and creative and focused. And I spend a lot of time in corporations like Microsoft or Amazon helping people be more productive, more healthy. And so there was a double-blind study done on 100 kids. They all had similar IQs, and they were studying the same materials and taking the same test. They were all hooked up to EEG machines to measure their brain waves while they studied and took the test. They divided them into 4 groups. 25 faced west, 25 faced east, 25 faced south, and 25 faced north. What they found was very interesting. The kids that faced north and east did about 20% better on the test. They were producing an alpha rhythm, which is a very harmonic rolling brain wave. The kids that faced south and west were more producing a chaotic or a beta brain wave, kind of peaks and valleys. They didn't have the same focus or the same concentration. And another very interesting part of this study showed that the kids that faced north did better on the left brain activity. Just by facing that magnetic energy to the north, it supported that left brain analytical part of the mind, the math part of the test. And the kids that faced east, that solar energy from the east supported their right brain activity, the creative aspect. So they did better on the writing part of the test. So And how do you figure out which way is north and east? And you don't really have to go out and buy a compass. Just put your address of your office building or your apartment house or your house in any map search engine, MapQuest or Yahoo Maps or Google Maps. And when you'll see the streets on the computer screen, and then you press the satellite button and the plus button a few times, and you'll see your house or your office. And then you can figure out the top of the computer is always true north and the bottom is true south. The right side is true east and the left side is true west. So you can kind of orient yourself. Oh, yes, I'm in that my desk faces that way in the house, and so I'm facing north or east already. So that's a good way to figure that out. Now, another way that you can align your physical body to these two forces of nature is what we do many hours a day as well, or night. Sleep. When you sleep, the direction you sleep has a lot to do with how rested you feel when you wake up. How many of you here wake up feeling a little still tired? Okay. Maybe today, especially because of the change in the daylight savings. But it may have something to do with the position that you're sleeping in. So there was another study done in a hospital, 50 patients recovering from similar surgery. They set it up so that 25 of the patients had their headboards to the north, on the north wall, and 25 had their headboards to the south. And what they found was they also had them hooked up to EEG, and they were measuring the REM state, how deeply they were sleeping and how much dream activity they had. What they found was after 3 days, a very short period of time, the patients with their heads to the north, or their headboards on the north wall, were not recovering as quickly, had more complications with their recovery than the patients with their heads to the south. And the reason is very simple. Positive magnetic energy comes from the north, and our body is like a magnet. The positive polarity is in your head. So if you're sleeping with your head to the north, or the headboard is on the north wall, feet pointing south, it's like bringing two positive ends of magnets together. What happens? They repel. So it disturbs the blood flow, the circulation, the digestion, and over time, you're not waking up feeling rested. When we go to sleep at night, the body naturally throws stress out of the body. And that stress, if you're sleeping with your head to the north, the stress builds up. Now, lots of houses, even I found in Ashland, are not aligned to the cardinal directions. So maybe one corner of the house or your bedroom is actually true north. So in that case, you might be sleeping with your head to the northwest or the northeast. Try to avoid that as well. Now, lots of houses I go into, and in fact I went in a couple yesterday, the only place they can put their head is to the north. Their bed is, the arrangement of the bedroom is such, their doors and windows and certain things they can't, they're limited. So a lot of times I'll suggest just try sleeping on the other end of the bed for a couple of weeks. This seems really strange, you know, and for first couple of days it may feel weird. But I guarantee you, 99% of the people that I have do this, after 2 weeks they notice they're feeling much more refreshed when they wake up. So you can give it a shot. We can talk a little bit about energy flow now. So we talked about these two forces of nature, the solar and the magnetic energy. So in any building or room, all the positive energy comes in through the northeast. That's the confluence of the solar and the magnetic energy. That energy splits and it moves around the room and settles in the southwest to benefit the people living or working in that building or space. Now, if there's any missing corners or extensions, the shape plays a big role in how energy flows. In a perfect rectangle or square, energy flows very efficiently. No energy gets stuck, no energy creates stress. But if your house happens to be L-shaped, And maybe you're missing the northeast corner or one or more corners. And lots of architects like to design buildings now that have what they call modulation, lots of missing corners or extensions. So in that case, energy can get stuck on its path to the southwest corner. And what happens is it creates stress that affects some aspect of that family's life or the people working in that business, the success of the business. So what happens is each direction is associated with one of the 5 elements. The northeast is associated with the water element. Water is about growth, spiritual, material growth, finances, prosperity, like that. Southeast is associated with the fire element. That has to do with your energy, if you're feeling tired or if you're feeling very energetic. Your energy is in balance. Bottom line, it really affects your health. If you're feeling really tired or sluggish, you're more apt to, your immune system can be low and you're more apt to, have certain kinds of illnesses. Southwest corner is associated with the earth element. And earth has to do with support, how we support ourselves. And it can be our physical spine, our legs, our feet, our back, whether we have back trouble or not, and actually how we support ourselves and our family, our career, our business. Northwest has to do with the air element, and I reminded you in the meditation that the air is very much associated with the quality of your thoughts and emotions. If that air element is out of balance, then your speech, your actions, your thoughts may not be in total harmony. So what happens then? It affects your relationships. So all of these 4 elements have some effect on your life, whether they're in balance or not. The very center of any building or room or space is the space or ether element. Now, the fire, water, air, and earth all come out of the space element. You could think of the space element as being the father of those other 4 elements. So if there's any kind of disturbance in the center, and we'll talk about what that kind of disturbance can be, it can affect every aspect of your life. So we were just talking about energy flow, and in a stream or a river, if there's a bend in the river or stream, some of that water actually eddies or stagnates or pollutes in that bend in the river. And the same kind of thing happens with the energy flow in a house or an office or any room. Even sometimes bedrooms are not completely rectangular. They have a hallway or they're attached to a bathroom with no door. But basically, when you have a missing corner or an extension, some of that energy gets stuck, just like in that bend in the river. And if it gets stuck in the northeast, for example, because of a missing corner or an extension, then it would affect finances. If it gets stuck in the southeast for some reason, it would affect your health. If it gets stuck in the southwest, it could affect your career. If it gets stuck in the northwest, it could affect your relationships. And now, because northeast is associated with the water element and growth, if you have any fire element there, like a stove or a furnace, a fireplace, an electrical panel, then some of that energy will also get stuck there. It's reducing the water, it's reducing your finances. They say it's like burning money. So, in the southeast, if you have any kind of water element, this can reduce the fire, like a fish tank or a fountain or even a swimming pool outside or a jacuzzi. This can reduce that fire affecting health. In the southwest, if you have any fire or water element, that would reduce earth. Any of the elements I just mentioned, like fireplace or stove or things like that, affecting your career. Northwest and southeast, Fire and air, they are friendly, so you can have any water or fire element there without any disturbance. It's only the missing corners or extensions where the energy gets stuck that would affect that. But in this very center of a building or a house, the space element is also affected by fire and water. So and when we talk about water, toilet is also water, but it's impure water. So if you have a toilet in the center or any fire or air element or water element, it would affect every aspect of your life. And toilets also tend to block that financial energy if they're in the northeast. So no fear. I mean, probably a lot of you are thinking, oh, I have some of these things. Remember, it's all energy. Everything's made of energy. The toilet seems solid, but it's just energy. So there are some very simple ways to affect that stuck energy and get it moving again. And you can just think of it like you're feeling tired or sluggish, or some pain in the body. And you go to someone who understands how energy flows in the body. They understand the meridians or marma points. And they know that if you're feeling tired, a meridian happens to be blocked, or there's some pain here and it's connected to some meridian that's blocked somewhere. So they do some massage or acupressure or acupuncture or chiropractic adjustment. And what happens is they put a needle there at where that energy is blocked, and the energy starts to move again. You start to feel more energy in the body. You feel less pain. So your room, your house, your office is a living, breathing organism made of the same 5 elements that you are. And it has also a spine that runs from southwest to northeast. It has these sensitive marma points or meridians. And wherever that energy happens to be getting stuck, there's a way to use a little energy correction device to release that energy that's stuck so it can start moving again. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Let me give you just a really quick background. I first discovered this science or became aware of this science in the late 60s, early 70s. And this knowledge comes from one part of the Vedas, which is in a very ancient text. And that part of the Vedas is called Atharvaveda. And many things that you are familiar with, very familiar with, come from that part of the Vedas that has to do with improving the quality of your life. Yoga, meditation, breathing exercises, all of these things come from Atharvaveda, including the science of the stars and how they affect us, which is called Jyotish. I'm also a Jyotish astrologer. And Ayurveda, the science of healing, and Sthapatya Veda or Vastu Shastra, the science of building. All of these come from that part of the Vedas. And about 2,500 years ago, this science was carried over the mountains from India to China and became adapted to the local cultural and climatic conditions of the time, became known as feng shui. So a lot of people ask me, what's the difference between feng shui and Vastu? The goal is the same, to keep energy flowing in a space, keep those 5 elements in balance. But they just go about it a little differently. And there are a lot of schools of feng shui that are based on black hat, where they have, Vastu has a bagua, just like feng shui, basically, the elements in those certain directions. And you can divide any room into basically a tic-tac-toe, with the northeast zone being water and the center being space, etc. But the black hat version of feng shui, they kind of lost some of the basic principles of Vastu. And it became about when you entered the space, then the right corner became, I think, finances, the left corner became relationships, and so it's not based on the directions. Vastu is totally based on the directions and their influence. So that's kind of the difference. But the goal is the same. So in Vastu, how we do corrections. It's very, very easy and simple. Let's say you have an L-shaped house or an L-shaped room. And you place, remember, everything's made of energy. And many of you are familiar with sacred sounds. We sang some beautiful sacred sounds today. In Judaism, you know, the word shalom is basically a mantra. And in the Eastern world, people use Om, a very powerful mantra that excuse me, affects the physiology and the environment. Let me take it some water. Anyway, there are thousands of sacred sounds. Every religion, every spiritual practice has sacred sounds. And in Vastu, we use sacred sounds that are in the form of a yantra. A yantra is just a physical representation of a mantra or sound. And so we use these yantras or energy devices. They're very small, inconspicuous. And if people came to your house, thank you so much. If people came to your house, you may not even, they may not even notice them. They're very inconspicuous. But basically, you would place one here and one here so they see each other, and they create like an energy boundary. So that the house gets separated into two, what you could say, Vastu energy fields, where energy is moving freely and not getting stuck. And so this would be the second one. And so this is how we do the corrections. And like if there's toilets in the wrong place, we don't suggest any remodeling. That could create more stress, unless somebody's going to remodel it anyway. But you don't want to carry a toilet from one side of the house to the other. Or I've seen situations where people are cooking in a bedroom just because it happens to be the right place to cook. It's not practical. It creates more stress. But these energy correction devices or yantras can be placed in certain key points where that energy is getting stuck to keep it moving, and on these appliances if they happen to be in the wrong direction. Now also things that can happen with energy flow is if you have lots of openings in the south and the west, some of that energy can leak out and not build and actually benefit the people living and working in that environment. When we designed the first Microsoft building, we actually put Bill Gates in his office in the southwest, facing east, so he could be very creative. And whoever sits or sleeps in the southwest tends to have more power, more control. So we always try to put the elders of the house in the southwest. Now sometimes I go to a house and kids are sleeping there, and they seem to be controlling everything. There's some simple ways to correct that. But basically, if you have lots of windows or doors or openings in the south and west, some of that energy that can leak out. And it's like you have good income coming from the northeast, but some unexpected expenses are leaking out. So again, we would utilize the yantras to set up energy barriers. Again, you wouldn't see them. It's not like you're closing off the window or the light, but keeping that positive energy in. And then a lot of you may live in an apartment or a house or, a townhouse where maybe the north is blocked. The prosperity coming from the north, that magnetic energy is blocked by a common wall. Or to the east, the solar energy is blocked. Or maybe you're even in a house, but the houses may be close together, or there may be a lot of trees there blocking that positive solar or magnetic energy. And again, you could use the yantras in a specific yantras in a way to attract that missing quality of energy. So basically, Vastu is about keeping the energy flowing, keeping it, building up the positive energy, staying in the house, not leaking out, and not being blocked. And so there's many, many ways to do this very simply. And what I've really found in the last few years for myself, my family, and people that I work with is three things really affect success. You could say 1/3 is affected by whatever you can do to reduce the stress in the mind and the body. We use maybe 10% of our mental capacity. And if that stress can be released or reduced, you can actually tap into subtler and subtler levels of thought, or your subconscious level. And I think many of you had this experience where you're trying to remember a movie star's name, or trying to solve some problem, and the mind goes round and round on the surface, and it can't quite come up with the answer. But you close your eyes, you meditate, you take a nap, and that answer comes. And so whatever you can do to release the stress in the body, it can be simple things like balance of rest and activity. Lots of us work way too hard and don't take enough rest, enough sleep, enough relaxation. So that's really critical. And exercise, drinking lots of water. We are electromagnetic beings living in a sea of electromagnetic energy. And as technology increases, more microwave stuff, you know, your router in your house, they're checking the meters these days with remotely. That's creating a lot of EMFs, or electromagnetic energy. All of this affects us, and we need to stay very hydrated, so, you know, to protect ourselves from this radiation. So all of that helps. Anybody who knows about yoga or meditation, these are excellent ways. Breathing exercises to throw off the stress, to make the body more flexible. In fact, we call Vastu yoga for your house. It's a way. And so that's the second thing that really affects us. 1/3 is affected by the stress and environment. And we just talked about this electromagnetic stress, and we talked about how energy flows and gets stuck and creates stress that affects aspects of our life. So Vastu is an excellent way to reduce the stress in your environment, which affects your creativity, your productivity, you tapping into your full potential, basically, and being successful. One of the things that Vedas talks about is underground streams, underground channels, and in the modern day age, we have lots of pipes coming towards our home or office. Sewer, water, gas, storm, low voltage, power. All of these bring radiation. And you may find, and lots of people find, that those radiation lines cross on places where we're sitting and working for long periods of time, or sleeping. And that radiation builds up and affects the immune system, can affect our sleep also. So Vastu kind of talks about ways to protect yourself from that geopathic stress, also environmental stress. The last third that really affects us is when we're born, all the planets and stars are set up in a certain way in the sky for us to come and learn certain lessons. Many of you are familiar with life being a big school. We come here to learn certain lessons, to grow, to evolve, to open our hearts, to serve others, to have compassion. All these challenges that come at us, you know? No matter if you're healthy or not healthy, or rich or poor, we all have challenges that come. And they don't always seem like a fun thing to help us grow. You know, when we're in the middle of it, it seems really overwhelming. And you know, some of us have huge challenges and it's really struggled. Now, if you're taking care of reducing the stress in the mind and the body, and reducing the stress in the environment, those challenges are still going to be there. But what many people have found, if you're reducing the stress, the road is a little less bumpy. It's more like you're swimming with that current of the stream instead of against it. Life is a little less struggle, more graceful. It really, really makes a difference. When I do Vastu for certain people's homes or businesses, sometimes I will look at their chart, their astrology chart, and I will see that they may be in a certain planetary period and they've gravitated towards a certain floor plan, whether it's an apartment or office, that supports those challenges that they need to learn. Maybe they have a debilitated moon and they're in some tough relationships, and you look at the floor plan of their apartment or house or office and they have a missing corner in the northwest. It's all related. We gravitate towards these floor plans whether we choose them or not to help support whatever growth experience that we're involved in. And again, you know, we just reducing that stress in the environment and the body and mind can really improve that struggle for people. I'd like to just open it up real quick for questions if anybody has any at this point, and I know I've probably gone past my time or whatever. Yes?
What happens if to the north you don't have any windows?
Yes, that's a kind of, it's blocked.
Do you do mirrors or?
You know, mirrors can help. That's more of a feng shui thing. In Vastu, we use a specific yantra. Every direction is related to a certain planet. Just for example, you talked about north. North is Mercury, and that's bringing that abundant prosperity towards you. There's a specific yantra that will attract, it has the same vibration as Mercury and that magnetic energy from the north. So placing a specific yantra there can attract that missing or blocked energy.
So what is a yantra?
Yeah.
So, you know, they're sacred symbols, basically, and the yantras that we use come from the Vedas, and they involve all of the 5 elements, and actually a certain vibration that is in the same frequency of certain planets and certain things that need to be corrected, or, you know, like, there are yantras and mantras for even each organ in the body. If you have colon cancer, for example, there's a certain mantra, a certain yantra that can help heal that part of the body. So there are thousands of mantras and yantras, but we would use a specific one for that particular purpose.
Do you use bells or?
Huh?
Do you use bells or fountains or?
That's again more feng shui. But, you know, a fountain, because it's moving water, is placed in the northeast or the north or the east, will actually support, would be a good thing. This is a yantra, and it's very hard to see. It's one of thousands of yantras. It's a series of triangles, some pointing up, which is the fire element, some pointing down, which is the water element, and they intersect in a certain way. And it has a certain effect. That's just the example. Yeah, you had a quick question.
I don't know quite how to word this, but it seems like a yantra can kind of be adapted to what you resonate with too. And I'm also along those lines thinking of the directions represent different things kind of depending on what tradition you're looking at, right? Like the Celtic way, the Native American. So
Yes.
it's just, that comes to mind, not to be too much of a devil's advocate, but just that the directions, the specifics can mean different things depending on what tradition you're using or how you're looking at, or what's most powerful for you, right?
Sure, sure. But I think in most traditions, east is sun, and you see most people face east while they meditate, or, you know, there are some kind of basic universal things. But you're right, the American Indians had the circle, and, you know, certain directions represented certain things, and I think when you trace them all back, you know, they're all very much connected, and it's so fun to see the connections between all the different religions and all the different, you know, spiritual groups that have come through time. So, any other questions?
Would you talk about your book?
Oh, the book is kind of a how-to book, and it explains a lot of the things in more detail that I talked about in the talk today. And my wife, I can't do anything without her. She writes these beautiful books. It's the only one I have with her, but she also wrote a book called Altars of Power and Grace. Now, Vastu affects the very smallest to micro to the macro. They talk about Vastu of countries and cities, and Vastu of the world and planets, and then also the beautiful little things that you've collected throughout your life that you treasure. If you set up them in a certain way, according to the principles of Vastu, they can become a very powerful manifesting device for some particular desire that you have, for healing or for abundance, or, it depends. And so that's the Altars of Power and Grace. And then she also wrote a book called Making Room for Mr. Right, which is a little misleading. It's just about, it's about three women and their journey in terms of relationship, but it's using the principles of Vastu and the Vedas to attract more love in your life. So it's a good book for anyone. It's a very powerful book. Yes?
So, what did you say? If you're sitting at a desk all day, you should be facing?
Ideally, it depends on what kind of work you're doing, but if it's creative, and some people, their work is involved left brain and right brain. So either true east or true north.
So true east is more creative.
That's
and
right.
True north is?
More left brain, more like paying your bills, more like accounting, more like analyzing certain situations.
But northeast would be good too.
Yeah, that's what everybody thinks, including me. But the studies really showed, that the alpha rhythm is not as present when you're facing a subdirection, not a cardinal direction. So you would think, it's the best of both worlds, but not really true. Not really true. Yes?
So walls in your rectangular house are very low.
Walls within the house?
Like the internal walls.
Yes.
Dividing rooms.
Yes. Are they blocking energy?
Yeah, that's my question.
Not necessarily. The less walls you have, the nicer the energy flow. I mean, everybody's had that experience. You walk into the more open floor plans, and it just feels a little lighter, less restricted. So it has some effect, but it's not necessarily the energy's not still flowing to the southwest. It's more about the missing corners or extensions where that happens. Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
Do you live in Ashland?
No. I'm just here for the weekend, and if anybody is interested in a consultation, I have some openings this afternoon, and you can see me afterwards, where I come to your home or office and do this, and it doesn't take long. It's about an hour, and we also do a kind of clearing ceremony, a puja. You may not be the first person who lived in that house, and whenever anybody has a negative thought or argument, some of that energy gets stuck in the floors and the walls and the ceiling. So we want you to start fresh, and we just clear all that out. So you start brand new. Yes?
I'm wondering about the difference between magnetic north and true north, and which is the one that becomes...
Yes. So compass is magnetic north. And when these ancient seers were meditating and cognizing the Vedas and writing down all these effects of the different planets had on the human physiology and our environment, they were going by the pole star, which is true north. Doesn't vary. Now the magnet is based on, it's a magnetic energy, so it's not true north, and there's what's known as the angle of declination, which on the west coast and the east coast it varies from 13 to 22 degrees off of actual true north. Now, when you move to the center of U.S. or India, you get closer to magnetic is same. There's no angle of declination, but it's something to keep in mind. Yeah. So we just go by, all the engineering maps and all of the satellite pictures. They're based on true north, so it's the easiest way to figure out your house. Yes.
Is there a website we can go to get a yantra, to print one out?
Via www.vastucreations.com. I have some cards back on the table too.
Thanks.
But you'll find them all over the internet. But we have specific ones for specific purposes. Sure.
Does that website have mantras for the different organs of the body? Or where would I go to find that?
No, that's part of the science of Ayurveda. But if you email me, I could help you out with that.
Okay, so I can get your email
Yeah, it's on the card in the back.
And I have another question. I'm wanting to sell my house.
Yes.
Is there anything I can do energetically to help
Absolutely.
sell?
Yes, yes. We work with lots of brokers and houses that are not selling. There's certain things, certain yantras that can be buried in the ground to attract a buyer. Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Yes.
Well, the reason I asked you what an Ashland is, I mean, I'm relatively new to Ashland, and I'm just curious, you know, because there's this sort of a healing, creative place, and I look at the town and how it's sitting in the energy, like the whole town faces north.
Yes.
And then there's sort of this over the mountain coming east. I mean, just your sense. I'm just kind of curious of your...
It's a wonderful place. I love to live here. I thought about it a few times. But yeah, you're new to it, but all of these people know this is a very conscious place. People are very creative, and you know, it's a huge spiritual community, and it's a wonderful place. Yeah, actually, absolutely. There are certain places on Earth there's kind of a vortex created. You know, Sedona is another one, and you know, lots of places where you know you feel very alive and energetic. And, you know, it's not for everyone. You know, people's chart can be, you know, you have maybe a lot of water signs in your chart, and maybe you need to be closer to the ocean, so this may not be the best place. But yeah, that's called astrocartography. It's something we also do to help people relocate. Yes?
Well, I have a question. I live in an apartment.
Yes.
My apartment wall, my bedroom wall is solid.
Yes.
And now, are we supposed to be up north, my bedroom north wall?
Your bed's on the north wall.
No, my
Bedroom.
north wall
Okay, is blocked.
is blocked.
Okay.
But now you say we face that wall?
No.
Or we put our head on that wall?
Yeah. So you can, your headboard can be to the east. It can be to the west. It can be to the south. South is actually best for healing if you have some health challenges. But just don't have your headboard to the north. That's the one you want to avoid.
Okay.
So, and if it is already, try sleeping on the other end of the bed. If you can't move it. Check it out when you go home. Yes?
Does Vastu look at beings in the environment and how they affect you? And I'm specifically asking about carpeting.
Yes, so the science of Vastu, you know, you want to use as much natural kind of products as possible. You know, wood and wool and, you know, things like that in terms of carpeting. And, you know, because anything that's synthetic reduces your vibration. Anything that's natural brings your energy, your vibration up. So, you know, it's tough. Everything's made in China and it's plastic and this and that, but do the best you can. Yeah. But if you're building a house from scratch, you have so many choices, and you can always pick the natural elements within the house. It makes a big difference. Yeah, you know, houses that are built according to Vastu and built with natural materials, you go in and you just you can feel that harmony and that uplifting kind of feeling. Yeah, so it's very, very powerful. Yes. Okay, good. I'm done. And,
Yes, I know we all want to figure out our bedrooms right now. So, yes, visit him at the table, and I'm sure he can help you with more questions. So, it's all about energy.
I looked into the face of sorrow, tempted by the taste of tomorrow, and the scent of yesterday.